What's going on, guys? Cyn for the win here, and welcome to our new franchise mode with the New York Rangers. Now, you guys saw the vote. New York Rangers got the most votes out of the 4 teams, so that's what will be taken over here. So in this episode, we're not going to really start with the simming or making any moves or anything like that. We're going to, sort of get a plan of action together. And I actually don't even have the expansion thing set up because I didn't bother as this was. We're not even going to be doing anything in this video. So the next episode will be starting everything. And keep in mind, since we are having the expansion team come in, we will be having to make a protected list for the expansion draft. So we're going to see which players we think we can expose and things like that, and which players that we definitely want to hold on to. And again, with the expansion draft, that will mean we will have, essentially less trade value to be able to move out. If depending on whoever we expose and if they get picked and things like that. So I'm actually not sure. I've never played with a team that wasn't an expansion team while I was doing the expansion type franchise. So this should be pretty interesting. I'm actually quite excited about that. It's a new thing I've never tried before. So anyway, if we're looking at this team, I did see some suggestions to say maybe you can try to get Lundqvist to Cup here, but I just do not see how that would be possible. Defensively, offensively, this team just does not have Cup contention written on it. And really, how much could we move to make that even a slight possibility? I don't think there's enough. Even with a couple year window. I mean, Lundqvist is only going to decline. Yeah, and trade value wise, nothing. There's really nothing. You got no top players. The only big piece of trade value that you have, and that's not even that much, is Lundqvist here. And that's not enough value. Draft picks, sure, you can trade some out, but again, you'd have to start pretty bad for that to get good value, and then I just don't think we have enough initial value to be making moves for that. So a rebuild definitely seems like it's the better option here, and I do want to use the same draft pick rules that we used the last time, maybe even less picks total, but for our Buffalo franchise, we can only use 12 draft picks per year and only 5 that were in the first or second round. So, for example, we already have 3. We can only pick up 2 more picks in the first 2 rounds, and then only 12 total. So, okay, we only have 7 right now, so we could get 5 more, but we could lower that number. We could say maybe only 10 total this time or something like that. Make things a bit more difficult, or if you like the previous rules, we'll just roll with those as well. So let's take another look here at the contracts. Now, I haven't updated the rosters or anything, and I'm not too sure how the custom rosters will work with the expansion, because you can use either the default rosters or the custom rosters. You actually can't use current updated rosters, so you'd have to make it custom, which will work out just fine because I'll combine the current custom rosters the current updated rosters along with the created guys I put in. And there is a prospect that's missing because, I had to create him. I forget who he is, but he's a top 6, either power forward or sniper. And also there's the defenseman. Forget his name too. Keandre. I remember his first name. Keandre something. There we go. He's, of course, missing because has to be created here. And he is not present even with this update. So most of the guys, because they just don't have the licensing form, are either at university or something else that's preventing them from actually being in this game. And I will fix that double Zadina thing I had going on in the last one. I still don't know how that happened, but it happened. I guess when they're on the prospect team, they actually doesn't take him out of their other team because I don't know. Again, no clue. Anyway, so there's really nothing. When we look at this, there's really not that much to have. 1 medium top 4, 2 low top 4s, not even a top 6 prospect here in this system. Not even one of those. Some top 9s, some top 6 defensemen. There's just not a whole lot here. So it's nice to have a lot of different top 6 guys here. We can at least, starting with them now, we can at least hope for them to be 4 years or so, maybe 5 years, they can maybe be cracking the NHL, which would be around the time you'd want some, depth defensemen or, 5 and 6 defensemen coming in. But still, there's not a whole lot to work with here. And that's actually a good thing because I like building from the ground up anyway. Now, there are some young... There's some young talent here on the main roster, like Brady Shea. He could grow a bit more, probably not that much. He'd have to kind of have like a good year, probably depend on statistical growth, unless we can get really lucky with his growth. But 84 only. I think he'd probably cap out at top 4 anyway. He's not badly built. Good offensive stats, good defensive stats. So he's definitely a guy you want to keep around at least for a little while. And he's got a sizable contract. It's not a great price, but it's also not a bad price. It's kind of... I don't know if I'd say market value, but it's sort of worth it. Zibanejad also on a pretty dang good contract for what he brings to the table. He could grow a slight amount more. Again, not badly built, good offensive type guy, plus he's a two-way forward, and he's also on a pretty good contract. We do have $6.295 million to work with. I don't know what free agency has, but it's probably not that much. Now, Buchnevich, 23, 83 overall. Sniper. I don't know how much this guy shoots, but he's not built that badly, and he should have like 1, maybe 2 more years of natural growth in him, so we might be able to get him to like an 85, which wouldn't be bad. I mean, he'd be a serviceable second liner, so we at least have a couple building blocks in place. Hedel, I'd say, is probably your best prospect here, and that's not saying a whole lot because he's not amazing, but he starts NHL ready. You could start building him up. I don't know. We'll see. Hayes. I mean, yeah, you do have a lot of these like top 6 guy now. Howden's another. I'd say that he's about, him and Hedel are kind of your best prospects here, and they already are NHL ready, which is actually maybe kind of a good thing. You can get him some NHL experience here while you sort of tank. Because I think we will tank, especially if we decide... If we are going to rebuild, I say we trade Luongo immediately. I don't want to wait for him to drop off more. The only problem is that contract. Are there going to be teams that say we do not want that contract? On the flip side is the good news is that a lot of teams early on are lacking a goaltender or a good goaltender, solid goaltender who actually might be competitive teams, such as Philadelphia. They're listed as a hopeful. They don't really have a goaltender. You check them out. Elliott, 82, 81, 80. Not really too much. We can, send over Elliott, take back something, grab a first-round pick or something like that. And that'll be an option. Another team that comes to mind, well, Islanders come to mind. They got Lehner, who's, a bit better on a 1-year deal. But other than that, 84, is that enough? They're listed as a rebuilder, too, so that's less likely. Carolina is another one I'm thinking of. I don't know what they're actually listed as a rebuilder, really. Well, they don't have a goaltender. Are they actually really listed as a rebuilder? Hold on. I know Aho is going to be really good. Okay, yeah, I guess. For some reason, I'm thinking Falk would be a little bit higher overall. Maybe Dougie Fresh, too. Jeez. Latest update, not too good for him. Slavin's really only top 4 potential? Huh. Slavin's a good defenseman. Anyway, yeah, okay, I could definitely see that they are rebuilders. All right, but they do have plenty of caps, so there's a possibility there. Calgary's another one you think of when you think of no goaltenders. Mike Smith is pretty garbage on the 1-year left deal. So we'd give him a solid goaltender for at least a couple years, and they could use something like that because you just saw they actually don't really. They have a couple prospects, Parsons. Gillies isn't much of that anymore. Most likely starter potential anyway. Parsons is someone that they'll be training up. However, is he a sure thing? Maybe, but it'd be good to have a starter for now. They are listed as a hopeful. Someone like Luongo could push them over the edge. You got Gaudreau, Monahan, like that. That's a solid duo to sort of build around. And you have a decent second, kind of decent. Yeah, you still got Kachuk. Yes, they are still improving, but they could at least make themselves more competitive. And their defensive core is not bad. You know, Hannafin, Giordano, Brody, Hamonic, Stone. I mean, that's a solid enough top 6. That really is a solid enough top 6. So all they're really missing is a goaltender. So Calgary would be a pretty dang good suitor to make trades with. Now, they obviously don't want to give up their pick for this year, but we could definitely squeeze that. I'd say we could definitely get our hands on that. And they actually, what the hell? They start out with like no picks for this next year. That's kind of crazy. Anyway, but as you can see, there's a few options for shipping out Luongo here for teams that could use a goaltender and don't necessarily have one. Also, the Blues, you got to think about them. They better have Allen realistically rated now. There we go. Okay, that's a bit better. 83. So, again, a team like the Blues, who are perhaps waiting on Ville Husso, but they actually want to trade him. I don't know what the guy is, but most likely a starter, and he's 23, so I don't even think he's worth taking back. But you could take back someone like Johnson on a 1-year deal. And then they have Luongo and Allen to be their 2 goaltenders. That's pretty filthy. And we could tank away with Johnson there, who's on that 1-year deal. So those are really good options. But that's kind of our biggest trading chip here in the beginning is Lundqvist. And it's not even that big of a trading chip. Another one you could get rid of, perhaps, is like Zuccarello, because he's 31 on the 1-year deal. By the time your team starts getting good, this guy's already on his way out. He's starting to decline, close to retirement. And this guy's a good player. He isn't bad at all. But if you're going that rebuild route, you don't need him. I mean, damn, this team has nothing. This is a huge tank team in the beginning. So even some of these prospects that we have immediately might not pan out, but you'll want to try to at least, get them somewhere, play them in their roles. Maybe this is like your first crop of core guys that you could try to get going. But even then, the odds are when you're having a poor year, the odds aren't amazing for them to get any good. Strome is dead weight. Like I said, Hedel and Howden are really the only ones who might be able to come a core player for you in the future. Yeah, you could probably hold on to Zibanejad too. So you could say Zibanejad's part of your core. But when I'm talking about young guys with potential who could grow into a role, it's really Howden and Hedel, and that's literally it. I see no one else who I would consider part of the big picture in the future. Buchnevich is a maybe. Because if this guy doesn't grow much more, sticks around at 83, yeah, I could use him as a third line utility scorer. But I wouldn't say this guy would be a huge core guy at all. But you hold on to him in the beginning. Chris Kreider, probably a next year trade when he's on his last year. Use him. Some teams will want rentals. Hayes you might be able to get rid of. But you are going to need some guys to play too. So it's going to be a bit of a balancing act in this first year. Who goes, who stays? I think Zuccarello could go. Lundqvist can go. And other than that, I don't know. Get some suggestions from you guys. Who else do you think are immediately expendable? I think you hold on to D'Angelo. I don't know if he ever gets to true top 4 at 22, still only 79. But could be there. He's actually really not well built at all either. Low awareness, low defensive stats. I wouldn't even be that excited about holding on to him. I could probably get rid of him and not really look back. Pionk is a good one. He looks like he'll settle into that. Okay, another offense. Never mind. No, what the hell? This team sucks, man. Oh my gosh. This is going to be more of a challenge than I initially thought. Okay, well, you think back to Buffalo, we had some great starting pieces. Reinhart, Eichel, Nylander, Dahlin, Ristolainen. This team's got nothing. Absolutely nothing. We are truly starting from scratch if we take on this team. And I'm down for that. I'm very excited. So, a few things to go over now that we will be doing the expansion. That's going to be slightly different. So, we kind of talked a little bit about who we can hold on to, but I also want to hold on to some values. So the guys that we expose have to be really carefully thought out. and that's going to be kind of difficult. But I think we hold on to Zibanejad, Zuccarello, Buchnevich, Howden, Hedel. Some of these other guys I could live with leaving. Defensively, I'll probably hold on to Shea and Shattenkirk. I don't know if I want to expose D'Angelo. I could probably expose Pionk. I don't know if this is... He's on the entry level. I'd have to remember if it's just like... If he's been in the league for enough time to even be able to be exposed in the expansion draft. I don't know if he's like a first or second year rookie, then he can't be, I think, by the rules. So obviously we protect Lundqvist. There's no trade deals, so you're not forced to protect anyone. But again, he's one of our largest trading assets that we have, so we'll want to protect him at least to trade. So yeah, this is going to be really interesting. And I'm kind of excited about this. And again, also, if anyone sees any like slight changes to make to this team, definitely let me know. Like slight bumps here and there to overall, either down or up. And just keep in mind, if you are a Rangers fan, it will be taken with a grain of salt. Unless you're actually being very objective about it, like oh, you know, increase this guy here and here, but you can decrease this guy here and here. Like, I will take into account, you do watch this team, you may have a better idea of the kind of players they are, but you know, I'm not going to be changing, like, say, Shea, bumping him up a crap ton, or D'Angelo, change him to an elite or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I'm making realistic changes here, and taking into account, if you are a fan of this team, you might have the slightest bit of homerism. That's just natural. It's not an insult. I mean, when we watch our teams, we're used to them. We have a bias towards them, and we think certain people should be listed better. It's just natural. All right, and another thing, we will be continuing with the contests, such as the point scoring thing. If you are new here, I'll explain it more in the next episode, where you guys, before we start the simming, where you guys will basically be making your predictions. It's pretty simple. You select one forward, one defenseman, and one goaltender who you think will be the best. So what I mean by that is the forward will be the top point scorer, and you can either choose them for the team or the league. Defenseman, same thing. Top point scorer, either for the team or the league. But keep in mind, if you choose, say, the defenseman, you say it's going to be the best point scorer on the team. For the forward, you have to choose who you think will be the best point scorer in the league. So has to be one for the team, one for the league. They can be from the same team, but I mean, it doesn't... or they can both be from our team, but one has to actually lead in the league, and I don't really think any of our freaking guys here are going to lead in anything in the league this year, so be much better off choosing who you think the top point scorer would be on this team, and then probably someone else is going to be the top point scorer in the league. And then for the goaltender, it's just who you think the best goaltender will be that year. Now, there can be ties, especially for the goaltenders. We see a lot of times where there's like, about 2, 3, sometimes even 4 goaltenders who are so evenly matched that, yeah, one of them might win the Vezina, another one might win the William M. Jennings, etc. But for the purpose of the contests, we say, they can tie in certain areas, because there's some other factors that go into it, such as shutouts, wins, stuff like that the game doesn't really take into account when it's talking about the Vezina or the William M. Jennings. It's pretty straightforward. It's just like certain stats for the Vezina, and then the William M. Jennings is obviously just the least amount of goals allowed. And we've had, in the Buffalo series, we had consistently had our goaltending duo winning it, while, Olmark was only playing 50-something games. He wasn't going to win any Vezina or anything like that, but him combined with the backup at the time, Luukkonen, were just absolutely not allowing goals and stuff like that. So for the top goaltender, it's a little more cut and dry, and I ask a lot about the comment section about, do you think these two guys should be tied, stuff like that. So you guys do have a say in the outcome a little bit of those contests. So again, I'll explain it more a bit in the next episode if people need me to, and I'll of course just go over the basic format once again for that as well. All right, so back to the task at hand here. I will go to contracts again, just so we could see once again. I think this is a rebuild. I really don't see any possible way to try to win Henrik a cup. And that's just the bitter truth of it. I really don't. And if you guys see anyone who needs to get bumped... Oh, hold on. How did I miss... I guess I didn't see Anderson before. Okay, well, they do have Elias Anderson. Okay, so that's one more decent prospect there. Oh, is he on... What? Oh, is he in the main roster? That might have been the issue there. Okay, yeah, that was the issue. So, well, they have Elias Anderson. Again, no elites, though. So, yes, another decent prospect there, but no top guys. So, yeah, definitely gonna need to draft pretty heavily here. And again, anyone who sees any little adjustments here to this team or kind of anywhere in the league that you think is not present yet. Now, bear in mind the ones that were suggested from the last series will be present in this one, such as, you know, Kotkaniemi being a medium elite or whatever. Whatever else there were. Mostly I added players that were missing, prospects that were missing. You know, not every single one, but the main ones, the guys who are, you know, very likely to become NHLers, or at least, like, you know, sort of core NHLers, you know, third line and above, essentially, you know, fifth or sixth D-men, stuff like that. That's kind of all the guys I put in. So, all right, that's pretty much the gist of everything. I'm trying to think of anything else that I haven't covered here. Nope, I think we're going to go with the same settings. Injuries will be set to 20. No morale meetings, but morale will still be on. I think it makes it interesting. You can't just go crazy stacking a team. Sorry about that. Anyway, you can't go crazy stacking a team. You can stack them, but you have to be very careful and you have to distribute ice time correctly. And I do really like the feature of morale. Fog of War will be on, so scouting going to be another important thing. Speaking of which, should actually check out what the scouting team's like. We have a good Russian scout and shit after that. All right, so I'll be doing a lot of swapping of the scouts here. We don't need AHL scouts. AHL scouts are useless. Can hold on to some NHL scouts for a bit. This guy's a B-. Can he be used anywhere else? Yes, he could be used in the USA Central. That wouldn't be bad. But that's kind of it. He's a USA scout, if anything. But obviously, it looks like we'd use one of those. Yeah, scouting is usually a mess in the beginning. So we could actually see if there's if we could replace a lot of those guys. We might be able to. Oh yeah, look at that. There's 4 Bs here, a bunch more B-. You know what? We could actually get a good start in the beginning by swapping out a lot of those scouts. This is actually a solid European scout. European scout with a B. Oh my goodness. Dell, NLA, the EBEL. Probably have him in the Dell. NLA and EBEL are smaller leagues. Extra League is a larger league, but maybe this guy's good. Yep, A. You know, that's good enough. And the longer he spends there, the better he will get at that region anyway. So really, he'll only need to spend 1 or 2 years there. He'll be an A+ there anyway. So those are some good scouts right there. USA West, you could do that, or you can go to the Q. Stahl, obviously a WHL scout. This guy could be the Q or the USA East. Yeah, there's plenty of opportunity here to immediately improve our team. This guy's actually really good in Scandinavia. Ooh, my God, this guy's good in a lot of places. Europe, Russia, Scandinavia. That guy is kind of a can't miss, at least for a few years. So yeah, we can actually improve our scouting team very quickly, which I am excited about. Well, I don't know if I refresh this, because we'll be starting this again from the expansion point. I don't know if those guys will actually be present. I'm not too sure if it's randomized, basically. It could be randomized, so those guys, that might be inconsequential actually looking at that. But we know what our scout team looks like, and our scout team looks like heart garbage. So, not very excited about that. Anyway, I think I kind of covered pretty much everything. I covered Fog of War. Yes, that will be on. We'll be turning off the overall and the potential settings for the draft so we could see what overalls and potentials get drafted, because that's always fun to do. Then, of course, turn them back on. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. I think we're going to be a rebuilding team, but definitely let me know. Let me know who are guys that we cannot leave exposed. Or, yeah, basically, who are guys that we don't want to leave exposed. Now, Hedel and Howden might not have to be protected because of their age. But again, I actually don't know if the expansion draft in this game is built well enough to where these guys are actually not going to be eligible. I'm hoping I might do a test expansion draft like tonight, later tonight or something like that, so like at least get an idea of it and to see if I do or don't need to protect these guys, because if it's not 100% accurate with the actual expansion rules, then and you lose a prospect like that, that'll be pretty silly. But I think it should be. Because when I've done expansion drafts, there aren't guys like this available usually, and it can't be that the teams are just protecting them. Yeah. I don't know. I'll do a test on that anyway. And for the team, it will be Seattle. And I already, you guys can give suggestions. And if I see a better one than I already have in mind, then I'll take them into account and I might create them as well. But I think Seattle Storm is both topical, fits with the region, and it sounds dope. Seattle Storm, man. It's perf. All right, guys, so I think that pretty much covered everything. We're taking over the New York Rangers. There's a new team entering the league in Seattle, so we will be having to deal with an expansion draft at the same time. We're going to be starting a rebuild. Biggest trading chips on the table, the king. I almost said Roberto Luongo. Definitely not him. The king, Henrik Lundqvist. He's got to win a cup. We got to send him somewhere where he's at least going to have a chance. I think Calgary might be the best option because they're a good enough team to perhaps make it deep in the playoffs. All they really need is a goalie to perhaps push them over the edge. So I think Calgary is a good place to trade him. Other than that, couple extra trading assets, but we're going to need to protect them in the expansion draft. So all right, guys, get ready. The New York Rangers franchise has officially begun. Let me know your suggestions about the guys we should protect, any roster improvements that you see that could be made, but remember, keep them objective and fair and reasonable, essentially. Keep them realistic within reason, because this team is, 20th in the league right now. Definitely kind of in between middle of the pack and bottom feeder. Maybe on the wrong side of that. Anyway, so yeah, that will take care of everything. Remember to leave that like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Watching my videos just isn't enough sin for you, be sure to go over there on Twitter and shoot me a follow, and you could even join our Discord server as well to talk with some of the other sinners out there. The links to both are in the description.